What's going on, y'all? Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Hey, this is Crystal Taylor, the owner of Fitness is Not a Game. I am your health and fitness coach who specializes in helping women over 40 lose weight without dieting or exercising for excessive amounts of time. So, today, y'all, I'm coming to y'all. So, this is Fitness Friday. Happy Friday, y'all. And on Fitness Friday, I come to you all with the intention of providing easy tips that you all can implement in your lives so that you can live a healthier, hopefully more fulfilling, longer life, right? So today I want to come to y'all and I want to share with y'all 8 of my favorite things. Like I've had, two children. They grown, hallelujah, blessed be. But also I've had to recover from a number of surgeries and procedures. And each time these 8 things I'm gonna tell y'all got me back on track. So if y'all here, say hey, let me know that y'all here. If you are watching a replay, do me a favor and type replay in the comments, right? So we're gonna get into it. If y'all ready, type ready in the comments. And I hope y'all got y'all water, because I got mine. And this mic all up in my face today. Well, let's get to it. Y'all, the first thing we're gonna talk about, tip number 1. Somebody type 1 in the comments. Tip number 1. It's something that we hear all the time. We've been hearing it forever. When you go out to eat, I want y'all to think about how frequently you go out to eat. You know, some people are like, I don't go out there. That's cool. Cool. Good for you. But a lot of people eat out way too much. Hey. Look, when you go out, ask for less or ask for the lunch menu. Now, I would say the kids menu depends on where you are. Some kids menus at some restaurants are fire, but I'm not asking y'all to eat a doggone tater tots unless you like them, and dinosaur nuggets unless you like them. But what I am saying is that a lot of times these restaurants, they have smaller plates. Now, it's a shame that they have to offer that, because we have gotten to the point as Americans, we want all the things bigger, better. So now these doggone portion sizes are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, excuse me, we were in Vegas in July. Went to this restaurant, fam. They brought out the place. I said, I know you lying. Like, why is the pancake bigger than the frisbee? Make it make sense, right? And even when we go out to these fast food spots, so you may not go to a restaurant frequently, but too often folks will order online or go to a fast food spot. Even then, don't let them talk you into supersize, because at this point, y'all, the doggone sizes of the smalls now are ridiculous. When it comes to the small fries, the small drinks, Lord, how is this a small drink? What's bigger than this? So ask for it though. And ask for it. And I'm gonna add a little bonus to it. When you are out, this is something I tell my clients a lot. When you're out and say you're at a fast food spot and you get a combo meal, right? And especially if you decide to get a juice or a soda or something like that. I'm not talking about your diets and your 0 calories. But if you decide, you know what, today I do want some sweet tea. Today, I ain't had a wild cherry Pepsi in a while. You don't have to drink all of it. Just because they give you a cup and tell you go over there and fill up your own drink, you can fill up half. Okay, so that's extra bonus. Somebody type bonus in the comments while we go on to number 2. And if y'all haven't done it, oh, I'm sorry. For my folks, this is your first time with me, you don't know. But for my OGs, y'all know when I drink, you drink. Because water's bad and we got to stay hydrated. All right. Number 2 thing I want you to do. So, and I promise y'all, I don't think the majority of these are things you've already heard before. You just need to be reminded. I always say when it comes to health, fitness, weight loss, whatever you want to call it, it's really not rocket science. We know what we've been taught. We just been programmed to do and think of the things, right? So a couple things you might be like, I didn't know that, or I didn't think about that. But a lot of these are things you already know. All right. So number 2, check your labels. check your labels for a number of reasons. One, and mainly, and when I say labels, I'm talking about your nutrition labels. A lot of times, folks don't realize how many calories are actually in something that they're eating. But when you are checking your labels, you also have to be mindful of what they say the serving size is. Too often, you'll pick up something like, oh, that's not bad. It's only 140 calories. That's cool. But y'all, if that's per serving and there are $5 servings in that one item, that ain't 140 calories no more. And you sitting there yum, 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 and nom, 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 thinking that you're only eating 140 calories and you're eating way more than that. So be careful with that. It's so common. And I will say, shout out to um the the companies. Ooh, that's the word I'm looking for. Shout out to the companies that put the 2-part nutrition label on their items. They'll say per serving size is this much. But should you so decide to eat the whole container, this how many calories you're gonna consume. So I like those companies that put it out there like, hey, don't sleep and think that it's just this one bag that's a whole 140 calories. No, it's not. Nuh-uh, it's really 330. Right? And you got to be mindful of that because so often you're like, oh, I'm not even eating that much. And this is a little bonus tip. I guess I'm gonna tack it on to something else. I'm roll into it. But logging your foods. Y'all, ignorance is not bliss. It's just ignorance. You got to know what you're eating. You really, really do. And to roll that into number 3, because number 1 was to what? Ask for less. Number 2, check those labels. Number 3, I want you to measure your doggone food. Y'all, I know I'm talking fast as that because I feel like 8 is a lot, but I want to bring it to you. So my 8 is enough, but I got to bring it to you. So maybe I get all of them out. And then if you got questions about any of these, drop them in the comments and I can come back and give more detail on all of them. But I just want to make sure y'all get these 8 tips. That's the important part. I could have drugged this thing out like, we'll do part 1, part 2. Well, I'm going to give you all these tips. So if you got any questions, you drop them in the comments or you can feel free to inbox me too, right? So with number 3, with measuring your food. Look, we've talked about this many times, but I'm going to keep bringing it up. I'm going to keep saying it because if you have not done it and done it on a routine basis, I can guarantee you are eating way more and consuming way more calories than you think you are. Because if you're logging your foods, right, as I just mentioned, you say, oh, I'm eating whatever it is, and they'll put it up there for 1 serving. So let's say it's some chips. You say, oh, I'm eating some chips. You pull up the type of chip, and they say it's 160 calories. You're like, yeah, that's it. But that's $1 serving, which is typically like an ounce. But you just sat there, ate 4 handfuls. Lies you tell, that ain't no ounce. You got to measure that with your proteins. You're like, oh, it's about 3 ounces. Lies you tell, it's probably like 5.5, 6. All of those things add up. And I'm saying this because so many of you have the goal of losing a particular number of pounds, right? And in order to lose the pounds, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox today about not worrying about the pounds and worrying more about being healthy. I'm not. Maybe not. I'm going to try not to. But if you are focused on losing a particular number of pounds, each pound is 3,500 calories. So in order to lose a pound, technically, you have to burn 3,500 more calories than you consume. That's why it's important to know how many calories you are consuming if you are specifically looking for that number on the scale. You can't expect that number on the scale to move if you're not paying attention to how many calories you're putting into your body. All right. And they, like I said, they add up. So you got to make sure you're measuring, especially, and I'll say this for my new folks, who haven't measured before, who haven't logged before, and you're like, oh, it's so time consuming. Honestly, I always recommend, well, I like to recommend, not always, but I like to recommend that if you are not familiar with logging, do it at least 2 weeks. Just do it for 2 weeks. If you feel like it's coming soon and you don't want to do it for the rest of your life, that's fine. Do it for 2 weeks, because then you start, like, the majority of us eat the same types of food within the 2 week span, right? We might mix it up a little bit here and there, but within 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, you're going to hit the majority of the types of foods that you eat, whether it is salmon, chicken, beef, broccoli, rice, quinoa. You start, you're going to eat those things, pasta. You're going to eat those things within a 2 to 3 week span. So just taking your time, and probably multiple times too, taking those 2 to 3 weeks to measure and really see how much 4 ounces of chicken, how that really looks, to get a real good idea of what a quarter cup of cooked quinoa looks like. You got to measure that a couple times. So you say, oh yeah, that's it. But I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong. And honestly, y'all, with the like starches and your quinoa and your rice, I like measuring them just because they look cute. And like, after you get them out the cup, tap it down on the plate. I'm like, oh, that's so cute, decorative. But, and y'all, oh, I should have brought mine in here. You don't have to get a crazy expensive digital scale. My scale is so basic. Now, mind you, I have had it almost 10 years, somewhere around there. But you don't have to get anything super specific and digital. You just want to get an idea of how much you're consuming, and do that for about 3 weeks so that you can start saying, and it like that 3 weeks of logging, it'll make you be honest. I mean, if measuring and logging will make you be honest about what you're really consuming. Now, this is the thing. I don't know if I want my tea or my water for this. If you decide to lie on the log, that's on you. You can lie on that log all day, but the camera and the pictures and the mirror gonna tell the truth, and them clothes gonna tell the truth. They are. But I'm gonna say it. I gotta say it. Can I say it? Should you decide to lie in your own personal log about how much you're consuming, shame on you. Shame on you. Do you want the goals or not? Lying on paper don't make it true. And then I'm saying this because so many of you get heartbroken, sad, depressed, beat down over your weight, over your shape. And it's not too late to correct any of it. It's not. You have to be consistent and you have to be honest. Let me know if that makes sense. Now, I don't mean step on no toes. Yeah, so how would you measure with a salad? For me, I like to make my own salads, right? Or let me know if you're looking at a prepackaged salad or if you're making your own. So if you're making your own, it's easy. Yeah, I would measure all of my ingredients separately. That's what I did. I knew, I knew I would get like 2 handfuls of spinach. I would have 1 medium carrot. I would have a third of a cucumber. I knew I would have 7 cherry tomatoes. I knew I would have 5 ounces of salmon. I knew I would get a quarter cup or half a cup of croutons. I knew I was putting on 2 tablespoons of dressing. So yeah, you can still do it. It's a matter. And if if you're making your own, yeah, you can measure it. You can measure it. And as you hear, I like to put a lot of stuff in my salad. So where I was logging, oh, this is another tip. A lot of the meal logging apps, if you eat something routinely, you can save that as a meal in that app so that you don't have to keep going in and logging everything individually each time. So that was something I would do because I love making my salads. I love my salads. I would log it as a meal. I would save it as a meal and then log that meal. And then I just go in and change something if I decided to have chicken instead of salmon, or if I changed which dressing I had, or if I decided, I forgot my edamame. If I did something different. But for the most part, I would have my base base item. So yeah, you can do that. All right. So we logging our food, we asking for less, we checking labels. Um, with that measuring and being honest. Y'all ready for the next tip? What we on? I think we on 4. Leave them leftovers alone. But my parents, get out your kids' plates. My grandparents, get out your grandkids' plates. That's another thing we do. We can't stand to see food wasted. But eating wasted food goes to your waste. Oh, I should put that on the shirt. I like that. Then you be mad. Leave them alone. And we've talked about this a few times about being raised to finish our food, right? Starving kids in Africa. And I worked hard to bring you this food. You're not gonna waste my food. You're not getting up from the table till you eat everything. Let me know if you were raised that way. Boy, that just gave me flashbacks of sitting at that doggone table while all my sisters and brothers running around playing. Oh my gosh. Oh, every once in a while, one of them will come give me a pity bite. Shout out to the brothers and sisters who've eaten their brothers and sisters' food just to try to get them off from the table. But we've been programmed to believe that we gotta finish it all. Like for real. Like is it's such a doggone what's the word I want to use for that? It messes with your head, right? It messes with your head because we take that into adulthood. And then especially like when we the ones paying for the food. I'm gonna eat this, I ain't gonna waste it. But you have to ask yourself, which is more important? You not wasting that food so that it's not thrown away, or are you throwing extras in your body that your body does not need and it possibly leading to other illnesses or conditions, right? You got to think about that. So you got to stay out of your leftovers. Like for me, a lot of times when I don't finish my food, and let me see if this is a bonus tip. I give you a bonus tip. Something I like to do, and I encourage my clients to do frequently, is to leave one bite of everything for every meal, right? Don't finish everything all the time. And it's a lot of times it's a challenge of will and strength, right? But if I don't finish my food, because sometimes my son loves making me big plates for some reason. He knows I don't eat a lot, but he'll make my plate and we'll see if I can finish. And a lot of times I just leave it in the kitchen, I'm done. And a lot of people do that. Say, oh, you stop eating because you got full, you realize that's enough. And then you see it and you go back and keep picking on it. Or you leave it in front of you and just keep on picking on it, right? So if you're not going to finish your plate, go take it away. Go package it up and put it in the refrigerator if it's enough for another snack or a meal. If it's not, go ahead and throw it away. Right. And if you realize you're doing that a lot, if you're concerned about constantly wasting food or whatever, make less. Put less on your plate. The same way we're at the restaurants and the fast food joints asking for less, give yourself less. And then package up the rest for meal prep for another day. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me make sense. If it makes sense, type makes sense in the comments. And drink some water. And we're going to keep on rolling in this same frame. Let me know how many we on now. We on 5? Let's see. 1, 2. Let's see what we do. I done gave so many bonuses. Who knows? I probably done 7, 8 already. Because I had a list of things I would talk about as we're talking. I'm like, oh, they need to know this. I want to share this too. All right. So something else that I want you to do when it comes to the leftovers. Sometimes people are like, oh, I want seconds. Oh, that was so good. I want some more. Or that was really good, but I'm not completely satisfied yet. Let me know if you feel that you've ever felt that way. Sometimes I'm not completely satisfied. Like I just need a little something else. And that's typically when folks will go for dessert, right? Or some type of other snack that's gonna make you feel. With that, I would encourage you, if you feel like you just need a little more, go towards more like fruit or protein based type snacks. And I'm not meaning like go eat another piece of meat or something like that, but there are amazing Greek yogurts, frozen Greek yogurts. Fruit is just so basic, it's right there. And fruit is typically fibrous, which is going to make you feel fuller, right? And it's going to help your digestion and it's going to have a little extra water. So you got to be selective about what you eat next, as opposed to piling on more and more what you already ate. Look at what can complement, especially a lot of times people will just want something sweet afterwards. Look at some type of fruit as opposed to chocolate or cookies, ice cream. But like I said, if you like a good ice cream, look for a good frozen yogurt. I'll tell you, they're amazing. They're amazing. So I want to go back and address this question. Sorry, I missed it, bro. So why would you measure all of the veggies when we are told to have as much as possible? In our this is the question about logging the salad. It's not just about calories, right? The great thing about the most apps where you log your foods, it will give you a running number of all of your macros, right? And your micros. So now you get to track how many carbs you have because some of them still include carbs, right? How much iron you're getting, especially if you have to watch your iron or you've typically been iron deficient. So there are other nutrients in those that you want to track as opposed to just looking at calories. And a lot of times when we look at health and fitness, weight loss, all of that food logging, we're just looking at calories when it's so much more that we should be looking at it. Because calories, like I said, calories are important. I'm not saying that they're not, but they aren't always the most important thing we should track. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that answers your question. All right. Then we're gonna move on. Mm, I think I got two more to go. Two more to go. And I'm saving my favorite for last. I'm saving my favorite for last. When I tell y'all these are things I've done myself, these are things I've done myself that helped tremendously. All right. So, number 7, I guess. Y'all, I've said it over and over again. I love me a good carb, love me a potato. Carbs are your friends, carbs are sources of energy. However, y'all, we got to stop doubling and tripling up on carbs. You got to. Because a lot of times we're not doing that with these complex carbs. We're doing with these simple carbs. Excuse me. You want to have potatoes, corn, and bread. Do you really need all the carbs? Eh, no, you really, really don't. You really don't. You don't see it too often where folks are eating sweet potatoes and quinoa. Plus, they want some bread. It's that those doggone simple carbs will have you sitting there carb, and then boom, you get that doggone crash, and you wonder why, because you gave it all them simple doggone carbs. You get sitting there eating all these doggone simple carbs that are turning to sugar that are going straight to your waist and to your hips, and then you mad. You don't need all of that. Pick a carb. And if you do want bread or toast, because I would say it got to the point in our house. Sorry, I got some feet. It got to a point in our house where we were eating like toast with every dinner. Like that became the thing. Like we always had toast. But again, you got to pick which one you want. We're not gonna do toast with rice. If that's the carb you want, then use that as the carb and have your protein and your veggie. Now you might be like, Chris, but what about spaghetti and garlic bread? I mean, some things you got to be honest, you're gonna eat. But I will say this: if you have the hankering, there we go, the desire, the craving for those things, especially the combination of things, reduce how much you're eating of each. Something I personally do because I love some garlic bread. Whoa. Texas toast to be exact, or the French loaf. Like yes. Yes, yes, yes. But something got to give. I'm either going to eat half a slice, right? Or if I'm like, ooh, that garlic bread gonna be fire tonight, especially we got the one with the cheese, getting the real, then I'm gonna eat less of the pasta. If I want all the carbs, if I want the mashed potatoes and macaroni, and the peas, then a little bit of each, but still, y'all, you gotta have that protein. You gotta have it balanced out. I don't want to get into all the sciencey stuff of it, but I was telling you how carbs give you energy. So does protein, right? And if you're doing yeah, some ketosis and all stuff, it becomes too much, right? You gotta have a balance. All right. Let everybody do their job. Don't just have one macro doing all the things. Yeah. All right. Drink some water. We're gonna get to the last one. Let me know if you're ready for the last one. If you're ready for the last one, type ready. And I get excited about this one because this was the first thing I could say I figured out after I had my son, my second son. When I tell y'all this, I say this for last, because this one thing made such a difference. Such a difference. And I thought it would help, but I didn't know it was going to help that much. And it is. And I know y'all like, Crystal, get to it. Stop dragging it on. I simply use smaller plates and smaller cups. Just doing that reduced how much I could put on my plate because, like, psychologically, when your eyes and your brain see a plate this big, it's saying like, oh, we need to fill up everything on there. And not, oh, you're not going to be satisfied. So what do? We fill it up. We pile it up. Because if we got a plate this big and we pile it up and then we dumped it onto the big plate, like, there's barely anything on there. I should put some more. Or you eat yourself, you eating, like, I knew I wasn't going to be satisfied. Because your brain has already made that decision. However, using those smaller plates makes you, like, psychologically say, that's enough. That's all I need. Now, I'm not talking about, I don't use like dessert plate. Depends on what I'm eating, right? But I have a plate that's like medium size. Medium. I can't even describe what size plate it would be. And I say a plate. And then I have like, oh, actually, I have a few smaller plates. But just using those smaller plates typically will force you to only include a serving size of that food or whatever you're eating. So say you do have meat, starch, and veggie. You're going to fit a serving size of each on that plate. When I tell y'all, because can I be real transparent with y'all right now, y'all? If I can, let me know. But after having my second son, my body I don't know what it was doing. It didn't want to bounce back. It didn't want to lose the weight. And I've shared before, I'm very honest about it. I did the whole desperation thing of using fat burners for a couple days. Couple days, that's it. But I tried to be anorexic, then it only lasts for a couple hours. I like to eat. But all those other times I was real sad and depressed, trying to figure out what to do. Like, how do I do this? And once I just say, you know what, let's just limit how much I can eat. And even like to this day, if I'm going to drink something that has a lot of calories or sugar or whatever, and I like me some good sweet tea, some lemonade, I'm still going to use the smaller glass because it limits how much I can get. Too often we walk around with these big old cups and mugs and all this other stuff, and we fill that thing up because, again, it's psychological. We're telling ourselves we got to fill that glass up when we really don't. So using smaller glasses for my drinks that have calories in them, like my water, you're going to get this big. right? I ain't got time for this little itty bitty cup of water. But when I tell y'all, and I really want you all to try this, especially if you've been struggling with weight loss, I really want you to challenge yourself to use smaller plates and drinkware. And even using a smaller fork so you can't shove as much on that fork as one at one time, and you got to focus on your food, being intentional. Like I said, y'all, it's about being intentional. It's not difficult, it's about being intentional, because you still get to eat. If y'all notice, the only thing I told you was be mindful of how many carbs you eat, like double stacking and triple stacking. But I ain't told you not to eat no carbs. I ain't told you not to eat no fried foods. I haven't told you not to eat anything. It's about being intentional about how we eat. That's the key. It's not what you eat, it's how you eat. That's the problem. Hate to burst your bubble, but guess what? Becoming a vegetarian or a vegan ain't gonna make you lose weight. It's not. French fries, fried cheese, curds, all this, they doggone vegetarian too. It's still about how you eat. Hey, Paulette. So y'all gotta be mindful of that. So those are my 8 tips. Those, and I tell you that last one, that smaller plate thing. When I tell you, the weight just felt like it was just coming off. And I was like, thank you. Because I couldn't figure out what to do. But using smaller plates saved my life, saved my body. And that's something I still do to this day. Like, I am protective and possessive of my plates in this house. Because, I'm in a house full of men. They like those big plates. I don't like those big plates. I don't need it. I want my plates. Those are mine. That's what I'm eating off of, right? And it keeps me on track. So, quick recap of the 8 for my folks who may have come in late. Like, what were the 8 tips? If everybody's like, who's this chick? I'm Crystal Taylor, owner of Fitness Night Game. And I'm giving y'all 8 simple, easy, foolproof, honestly, weight loss tips that got me back together after having my son with my children. Well, I would say my sons. I ain't know my first one. But I didn't know it with my first one. I know my first one. It sounds like I said I don't know my first one. I didn't know it with my first one. But also after recovering from multiple surgeries and procedures, right? So the 8 things, ask for less when you're out. You do not have to get the super size. You don't have to eat from the full dinner size plate. Dinner size menu. A lot of restaurants have lunch size portions. A lot of them have small plate portions. You just have to ask, right? Or look for it. I want you to check these labels, checking specifically the portions that they're saying these calories are associated with or allocated to. So if we see that it's 140 calories, is it really 140 calories or is it for a serving? Check to see if that's for the entire package. And sometimes you'll see that the serving size is the package. Gucci, you win it. But if not, make sure you do your calculations, right? And like I said, shout out to those companies that do the calculations for you, what one serving is, and then what the whole package will be. Oh, I didn't give y'all one. Oh, I did skip over one. Last thing. Okay. I'm gonna do the recap and then I give you the last thing because I knew it was something I was missing. I want you to measure your foods. I want you to weigh your foods. I want you to log your foods. I want you to be mindful of what you eat for your seconds and your thirds instead of going for extra bread and cakes and ice cream stuff. Consider fruits and veggie snacks and stuff like that, things that are more fibrous, full of water, going to help you feel fuller. Make sure you're not picking at your leftovers or your kids or grandkids leftovers or your niece and nephew leftovers. Don't do it. Be mindful of doubling and tripling up on your carbs. Use smaller plates. And the last one, this is a good one. This is a good one, y'all. We're talking about the seconds and all that stuff. We're talking about, I don't feel full. I don't feel full yet. Give it some time. Give it some time. You should not eat until you are full. Your body takes a good 20 to 30 minutes to digest and process what you've been eating. So if you keep eating, because have y'all seen how long your colon is? That food got a lot of time to get through all up in there and stomach, stuff like that. You don't know right then and there that you're full. That's why you're supposed to eat until you're about 80% full to allow yourself and your body the time it needs to fully bring everything down to see if it was enough. So give yourself 20 to 30 minutes. So after you finish eating, and that's so funny. I'm talking about eating now, my stomach over here growling because it's lunchtime. It's lunchtime. But like I said, if you eat until you're full, 20 minutes later, you're going to feel bloated. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. Let me know if that's ever happened to you. Like, oh, I should have stopped. I knew I ain't need that last wing. You sure didn't eat that last wing. They're just trying to finish your plate, right? Anywho, if you finish eating and you're not sure if you're satisfied or not, give yourself 20 to 30 minutes. And if you're still hungry, then go get something else. Then go get a little bit more. But don't rush straight into it, because a lot of time, I'm telling y'all, you sitting there like, I'm not even full. And you get straight up and go get you a little bit more. Then 20 minutes later, you be sitting there trying to unbutton your pants and pull your pants down, let that belly hang out. And you sitting there like, oh, that was too much. Sound familiar? Let me know if that sounds familiar. But that's my last tip for y'all. And I'm going to let y'all go. I didn't even mean to hold y'all this long. I knew 8 tips was going to be a lot, but these things all work. They work. You just have to be intentional. And it is about reprogramming some of your habits, right? Some of your mindset. But it's not difficult. You just have to be intentional. All right, y'all. Let me know if you can do that. If you can do that, so I can do that. Type that in the comments, right? Drink up some water before we go. And y'all make sure you have an amazing day tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, look here. What you mean for some reason? Last comment, y'all, and then I promise I'm gonna leave. It says, I feel less full if I have water with you say I feel less full if I have water with my meal for some reason. So that's interesting, because usually water makes you bloat. But what I will also probably be willing to put a little money on is that your body is digesting it very well, if you know what I'm saying, right? Because that water makes a hole, makes a way for that food. So it's helping your body to digest it more. It's helping to break it down more, and then it's going to help you to eliminate that waste too. So just something. But I will say, I do always drink you some water. It's going to help you actually. For me and most people I know, and that's interesting that yours is different, but it's typically going to help you consume less food because that space is being taken by water. So, all right, y'all. For real, I'm out of here. I will see y'all next time. We'll see what we're talking about next week. But y'all be good and be good at it, as my mama said. But y'all be safe out there in these streets, because I just want you healthy. I want you happy. And I want you here, especially on this holiday weekend. So y'all be good, and I'll see y'all next time.